Welcome back to the news at 10. The management of the University of Benin Teaching Hospital is assuring Edo State residents not to panic over the new case of Lassa fever at the hospital that's claimed one life. Senior management staff of the hospital, in a chat with Channels Television, confirmed that the hospital has isolated 6 persons, while tests are being conducted on 7 others. Health authorities say although those isolated have tested negative to Lassa fever, they will be closely monitored over the next 2 weeks.
Thursday, a patient died in this hospital, and post-mortem examination is said to have confirmed that it was a case of Lassa fever. Following this development, 3 doctors, 2 nurses and 1 hospital cleaner have been placed under surveillance.
When we knew about that, all the persons, all the health caregivers that were exposed, possibly exposed, we identified all of them, counseled them, and I wouldn't say quarantine really. It wasn't really, we didn't really quarantine them because it's not really that necessary for all of them. Then we monitor them and monitoring their vital signs, especially the temperature.
This is the 3rd case of the hemorrhagic fever at the University of Benin Teaching Hospital since the last outbreak of the disease in the country, with the hospital recording 2 deaths. The head of Infectious Disease Control Unit explains that the deaths occurred as information about the patient's cases was insufficient to point to the Lassa virus early. He added that the hospital's track record shows effective management of the disease.
Initially, the suspicion was not there because the family members did not give the true picture. They did not give us the true information. And it was later we found out that the man actually had gone for 2 or 3 burials of people suspected to have died of Lassa fever. They kept that information away from the doctors. So, it was when they were treating him and he wasn't getting better, the suspicion came up and they took his sample to Ura. Unfortunately, before the result came, he had died. I can say with confidence that none of the people who had contact with this last patient that we lost will be positive because of the procedure that we put on ground to take care of this problem.
He also dismissed rumors of a Lassa fever epidemic in Benin City, the Edo State capital.
There is no outbreak, there is no other confirmed case. None of the patients or people who have had contact that have tested have been positive. And we'll continue to monitor because we have a 21-day window period to monitor this individual. So no fear for outbreak for now.
Those isolated will be observed for the next 14 days, after which they may be given a clean bill of health.
Reckitt Benckiser, one of the top international producers of personal care and household cleaning products, has announced that its Mortine Owner Community campaign aimed at eradicating mosquito vectors is being extended to 20 local government areas in Lagos State. The pilot began in Koshofe local government area last year. It's being done in collaboration with the Lagos State government and the Nigeria Institute for Medical Research.
Ahead of World Malaria Day 2016, Reckitt Benckiser, makers of consumer products such as Mortine Power Guard and insecticide, is calling attention to the need for everyone to wage a war on mosquitoes, the vector that transmits malaria parasites.
Nigeria contributes 23% of the total malaria cases globally. 97% of the Nigerians are affected at least once because of malaria every year, and 300,000 people are dying every year because of malaria only in Nigeria.
Aside from producing Mortine Power Guard to fight mosquitoes, Reckitt Benckiser has taken its activities a step further by initiating an integrated malaria vector control program tagged Mortine Own a Community campaign, which began in Lagos in July 2015.
The whole overall objective of this study, it was said impact of using integrated approach, LLIM, insecticide aerosol Mortine, and larvicidin for malaria control.
Malaria has been reduced in one of the LGS in Lagos by more than 55%. by more than 55% among the kids under the age of 5. So I think everybody would agree that no kid should die from a preventable disease like malaria.
The research which we've done on a small scale in a controlled environment in Kosovo local governments, we're going to be recreating this in all the 20 local governments. And basically, what are we saying? Sleep under a long-lasting insecticide net, clean your environment, use an insecticide like Mortin.
We want to eradicate malaria by 2030. That is the goal. In goal number 3 of the Sustainable Development Goals. The only way we can do it is if we all work together. For instance, Reckitt Benckiser is producing Mortin, which will help as an insecticide. Other companies are producing drugs. Other companies are producing things.
The message from Reckitt Benckiser is no one, especially children, should die from malaria because it is preventable and treatable.
Let's take a look at some business news now. Here's Anne Waudu.
Hello, welcome to Business News. A total of 299 billion naira has been distributed to the federal, state and local governments for the month of March. Addressing journalists after the monthly Federation Accounts Allocation Committee meeting in Abuja, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, Mr. Mahmoud Dutse, explained the reasons behind the drop in the amounts shared. He says gross statutory revenue for the month stands at 232 billion naira, and that's lower than the 270 billion naira generated in the previous month.
The government has made it a priority to diversify the economy so that we don't continue to rely excessively on oil. But diversification is a process. It's not something that can happen overnight. The economy itself is diversified because oil contributes less than 20% to GDP. The problem is revenue, not much revenue or commensurate revenue is derived from the non-oil sector, even though it's some more than 80% of the GDP. So what the government is focusing on is to grow the non-oil sector, and at the same time take measures to ensure that revenue is derived from the non-oil sector. So the economy will not only be further diversified, but also the revenue sources of government will also be diversified, because even though oil contributes less than 20% to GDP, revenue, it contributes more than 70% of government revenue. So that's the diversification we want to achieve, and we are on course. All the measures that are taking place to improve agriculture, improve solid minerals, manufacturing and so on, infrastructure development, which would allow the non-oil sector to grow. But that will it's a process which will take some time. But we are working on it, and we believe we will see the results in the coming years.
Dangote Cement PLC has held its 7th annual general meeting in Lagos. The event afforded shareholders and management of the company the opportunity to review the company's performance in 2015. The company also saw an increase of 33% from 6 to 8 naira in dividends payable for every held share which has been held.
We thank God. It's a successful close of business for the year ended 2015 for shareholders, customers, management and staff of Dangote Cement PLC, which has been culminated at this 7th annual general meeting of the company.
Today, our volume in Nigeria has actually gone up for the last 7 months consistently, has gone up by about 45%. And I won't be surprised if we close the year with Nigeria, going up in volume by 70%.
Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, is in the room and leads the management, and so the expectations are high.
The accounting and reporting policies of the group are in accordance with legal and statutory requirements, as well as agreed ethical practices.
High enough that every resolution made was quickly carried, paving way for what everyone wanted to hear, the take-home dividend.
A cash dividend of 8 naira per 50 kobo shares be declared in respect of the period ended December 31st, 2015, and made payable on Thursday, April 21st, 2016. Will all those in favor of this motion please signify by raising their cards?
2015 was a challenging year by every stretch, but Dangote Cement management says it responded by becoming more efficient. Therefore, sales volume growth was up by 3.2%, revenues of 389.2 billion from 371.5 billion, up by 4.8%. Earnings per share rose by 15.2% from 9.42 kobo to 10.86 kobo, which translates in all to a dividend of 8 naira, representing a payout ratio of 74%.
All the shareholders are very, very happy because, one, you see, Alhaji Aliko had tried very well and they had made Nigeria, his efforts made Nigeria to be self-sufficient in cement production.
We were able to increase our capacity to a very large extent. It helped us to bring down our cost of production. So obviously it helps us to give a better dividend than our competitors.
We have no regret at all expanding outside the shores of Nigeria. It's something that I would like to make clear. We are very proud to be an African company.
For Dangote Cement management, the future can only be brighter.
Tier 1 lender GT Bank has reported a moderate growth of 30.68 billion naira in profit before tax, and that's for the first quarter of 2016, from its core banking activities, in contrast to 32.65 billion naira in 2015. In the quarter under review, the bank also recorded a net income of 40.79 billion naira, and that's against 39.16 billion naira in 2015. However, GT Bank's balance sheet remains strong, with 5.2% growth in total assets to 2.66 trillion naira. According to a statement by the Communication and External Affairs Department, the decline in trading and revaluation gains occasioned by forex paucity rubbed off on the impressive performance recorded, with a 4.6% decline in gross earnings to 75.39 billion naira. Bullish sentiments prevailed at the close of today's transactions as investors digest more corporate earnings from the equities market. Temple Ashaju has the details.
Thank you for joining us and welcome to Stock Market Reports. The equities market maintained its uptrend on Thursday as all the sectors of the market recorded some increase. Up 50 basis points, the key benchmark index berthed at 24,909.88 with a total market value of 8.56 trillion naira. Investors exchanged 1.18 billion naira for over 178 million units of shares in 3,223 deals. With an impressive market breadth, 26 stocks prevailed over 17 decliners, and Tiger Brands continued its lead status from yesterday by 9.81%, trailed by Access Bank and CCNN's 5.85% and 4.96% respectively. Union Homes, Kiotics and Champion Breweries topped the laggards list. The volume boosters for the day include Zenith Bank with 21.55 million units, as well as GT Bank and FBN Holdings. And that does the stock market report for today. I'm Temple Ashaju.
Thanks a lot, Temple. Major markets around the world closed Thursday's session in largely mixed mood as tech giants dragged U.S. stocks into negative territory. For more of those figures, here are the figures now. And with those figures, we round off business news tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. The rest of the news at 10 continues now with Ijoma.